Hey everyone, I'm Pion and welcome to Second. What is Second, you ask? I like to call it a turn-based roguelite deck building game without random card drawing. It entered Steam Early Access on the 16th of October and this is what it looks like. So this game calls itself a card game and it looks like a card game, but it's so close to not being one. You use cards in the game, and so I guess it's a card game, but the cards don't behave so much like cards in other games. You have a deck, quote unquote, but you don't draw random cards from it. You have a hand, but it works completely different than hands in other card games. So yeah, it's kind of a card game, I guess. It's also turn-based, and also the turn-based structure is not what you would expect. It looks pretty simple at first, but it has its nuances. So you have time slots here. Every time slot is 0.1 second, and in this battle, but not necessarily in all battles, every turn consists of 10 time slots, so you have 1 second in total to do your turn. Every card costs time to activate, so I have a slash here which costs 0.3 seconds to play. So I play the card, after 0.3 seconds it will get activated and use the effect. So let's do that. Sounds simple, right? It's so far it works similar to mana at first glance, but we'll see the difference in a moment. So 0.3 seconds, the card activated, the Shade Roamer took 6 damage, and now I'm going to use the bash to deal another 8 damage after 0.3 seconds, and now I can play a Medikit card. So then that's a little weird now, because the Medikit card costs 0.7 seconds. I only have 0.4 seconds left, but I can still play it. Because how the game works is that you can play cards during your turn, but they can get activated whenever. So when I play this card, it will take the last 0.4 seconds of my turn, and then the first 0.3 seconds of his turn to activate the card. So after 0.3 seconds of his turn, the card will trigger and heal me for 9, which makes no sense to do right now, but I'm going to do it for demonstration purposes anyway, because I'm at full HP. So let's play the card, which is a completely waste of time, but let's do it anyway to show you how it works. So he activated the card before the heal card, and then he activated another one at the same time slot, which will trigger after mine because mine was played first. And you could see the cards crossing over into the opponent's turn. And there are various card effects that also play with that. So there are cards that allow you to counter cards that are waiting for the activation right now, for example, or cancel them. There are shield cards which allow you to disrupt the damage. There are cards that are stronger or have different effects when an opponent cross-casts into your turn and stuff like that. So there are lots of things that come with that. He's almost dead, so I'm just gonna finish him off with another slash, I guess. Let's do that. Also, you might have noticed the Medikit got replaced, but I'm going to talk about a little bit more about how the cards work exactly in a moment. So after a fight, your pack level increases by 1, and you ask to either keep the pack or open it. The pack is a booster pack, so you get random cards from it. And the pack level determines how good the cards are inside the pack. You see this up here, this means you can have up to 5 cards in attack right in the pack. Right now, my pack level 6 card would give me 2 cards of purple rarity, and purple is, I think, or pink rather, and pink is, I think, rare. And it would probably be wise to keep it for later and increase the pack level before actually opening it. Opening the pack will reduce the level to 0. But for demonstration purposes, again, I'm going to want to show you a few cards. I'm going to open it now and show you how it works. So we open a pack, we get 2 cards, Envy and Bash. And I can now either choose to revert them or take them. If I take them, I'm going to take this one. It, well, goes to my collection. If I revert it, let's just do this with the bash. It's a better version of my bash. I should probably hold this, but for demonstration purposes, again, I'm going to use the revert option. So you see the pack level is at 0 right now. If I revert this card, it gets increased to 3. You can see it up here because the card is rare. So if you revert the common card, it goes up by 1. A rare card gives you 3, and so on. They give you higher numbers or levels depending on the card you revert. Okay, let's take a look at the deck really quick and put the new card, skip through the tutorial, which resets from time to time because this is early access. Now we can put this card in here. Let's do that first really quick, and then I'm gonna explain you more stuff during the match. So let's just go into the next fight. Maybe not the elite fight. Oh, we have to do this first. Oh yeah, they are random events, or not random events. They're events. They're always of the same structure. You get a little text and a picture, and then you can either ignore it, which usually has a negative effect, or at least not a positive one. And or like sometimes either negative or no effect, and you can instead use the counteract thing, which asks you to sacrifice a card. I'm not going to do that here though, because I'm very low on cards right now actually, because this is just the start of this mission. And you can sacrifice a card, and it's a little mystery, I guess. Like, it doesn't tell you what you need, but depending on the text and stuff, you should choose a card that fits. I think the type should fit. I'm not sure. The rarity seems to play a role as well. If you chose the right card, you get a positive effect. If not, the card is just wasted. So let's not do that right now. Oh, can I? Yeah, I can confirm. So it says whatever right, nothing happened. Okay, good. Let's get back to the road. Ignore that for the moment. So those are thingies in the game as well. Let's get into another battle though, because this is the meat of the game. Okay, now you might have noticed the envy card is right here. You have 5 slots, and every slot can have up to 3 cards, and every slot is basically a little stack of cards. And this is the only time in the game where the cards actually behave like cards, because they cycle through the stack. So if I play Slash now, Slash will be shuffled, or not shuffled, but put at the end of the stack, and Envy comes to the front. Okay, let's take a look at Envy. So Envy costs 0.3 seconds. Take true damage 6. Take true damage 6. I take true damage. Oh, that's bad. Oh yeah. Okay. So this card deals damage to myself, but okay, I have to explain sealed first. You might have noticed that when you play a card, it gets sealed. This is so you can play every card only once per turn. It will get unsealed next turn again, but you cannot just cycle through the same card over and over again, except for cards that ignore seal. Those are a thing as well. But most cards just seal. And okay, so the first part of the card is pretty obvious. You take 6 true damage yourself. And the second part of the card is an activate effect. When you seal this card, so if you play it, it swaps over, and it swaps over to this effect, which is the poison effect. And that means that at the start of your turn, you take more damage. What is this? Okay, interesting. Oh, it's a virus. What? This card is weird. So I take 6 damage. I never encountered this card, so I'm a little surprised by this, but this card is weird. So I take 6 damage, I seal the card, then I have a poison effect on me, so I take more damage at the start of my turn, and then when I get a critical heal in, so if I heal myself for 10 or more, the card swaps over, gets destroyed, so that cancels the poison. But this is also... Oh, this is a virus, so the poison is a virus. So I seal the card, and the opponent takes the virus, or the poison, and takes damage to the start of turn, and he can cancel it by using a critical heal. Let's do that. That sounds fun. So I Envy, I take 6 damage myself. Bam. And now he has the poison effect. So he takes damage at the start of his turn, and he can cancel the poison effect by using a critical heal. So healing himself for 10 or more in one action. Okay, that makes sense. Interesting card. Never had that before. Okay, let's now use the bash. Yeah, the bash, by the way, I should have explained that as well, has an extra effect besides the 8 damage as well. It's a negative buff or debuff that reduces the use of reduces the charges of the next card. So basically, the next card costs twice as many charges. I didn't explain charges yet, didn't I? So charges are the things down here. So every card has a limited number of charges or uses. So you can only use it for, well, yeah, a limited number of times. And every time you play it, the charges go down 1. When all the charges of a card are used, the card is exhausted and fizzles away and gets either, like, if all the card gets removed from the stack, I should say. If all the cards are removed from the stack, it will be replaced by basic cards. We're gonna see that now because I'm gonna use the medikit here to heal myself. So the medikit fizzles because it used 2 charges because of the bash debuff, and the usual charge you lose by just playing it. And it fizzled, and that was the last card from the stack, and now the stack gets filled with the basic card. So every stack has a color, and you can only play or put cards of that color into that stack or slot. And for every color, there's 1 basic card. The basic cards don't have a name, and they always have the same effect and cost. So the green basic card costs 0.7 and heals you for 5. And the basic cards always have this ignore seal thing, which I explained earlier. This allows you to play the card over and over again during 1 turn. So I could heal myself twice this turn. Well, activate the card twice, I should say. Play the card twice. It will get activated during the opponent's turn. That's the second time, to be exact. But yeah, the ignore seals means it doesn't get sealed when I activate it, so I can activate it right after again in the same turn. Let's not do that though. Let's just kill him. The poison will not kill him, so I'm just gonna slash at him, and that will take him out. and kill him, and there we go. That wins me the battle. Pelts my pack level to... Wasn't it on 3 before? Wasn't it on 3 before? This is either a bug or it didn't got a bonus from this fight for some reason. I think it wasn't 3. Weird. Keep it for later, for the moment. And I'm going to talk a bit about the slots more. So as I said, you have 5 slots with three rows, so you can put 3 cards into every slot if you want to. So I could do this instead if I want to. Every slot has a color. There are options to change those colors during the game. There are 6 colors in total, and then there are combined cards like Envy. If a card has 2 colors, then this means 2 things. First, you have to have both color slots. So if I would not have a green slot, I could not use this card. If I don't have a red slot, I could not use it either. If you have both though, you can put it in either of them. So I can now put it in the green or in the red one, whatever I prefer. This seems like a... Yeah, let's just put it there. That seems like reasonably okay. The game gets obviously more interesting if you have all 5 slots available and more than 15 cards, so you can actually fill them up. That allows you to get more interesting decks and make more interesting strategies. But it's a roguelite deck building game, so you start with very few cards and you fill them up over time. So let's get into a little bit more stronger, in a little more dangerous fight against an elite battle, or in an elite battle against an elite foe, I guess. It's a patrol drone. This might kill me. This might just end the run. We'll see. It has 30 HP, which is a decent amount. I'm gonna use the same strategy as last time. I'm gonna slash and envy. And also gonna bash to deal even more damage. I'm not gonna use the medikit yet because that would be a waste of healing potential. So let's end the turn here. Wait for him to do something. So he takes poison damage. That's neat. And he shoots at me. Oh, that's a lot of damage. That's lots of damage coming in. That's probably gonna end me. That's another 10 damage in 0.4 seconds. I can't stop that. And that is even more damage. And now that card, Exploding Bullet. Yeah, that is a cool card, by the way. Let's take a look at the log so we can see the original card. Oh no, that's not the one I confused that. No, that's actually, that's another one. Yeah, I confused it with another card. But this one is pretty cool as well. So, if you have shield active, it will deal 8 damage as soon as the card activates, so after 0.3 seconds. And then after 1 second, or 1 second later, it will deal another 6 damage. So this is a pretty cool card. That's interesting to use. And that's just, one is instant, activate right after it's used in past casting time. Activated right after it's used and past casting time. I'm not sure what that means. Did I took the damage from that already? Maybe I'm not sure what that means actually. I never had the instant effect in any card. I don't know all cards and all tricks in the game yet. The game has over 1,000 cards. I think that includes multiple rarity versions of the same. So every card can have like every card has a copy of each rarity. So there's a common slash and an uncommon slash, a rare slash, an epic slash, and a legendary slash. So I think those count as different cards. But there's still a pretty good number of different cards in the game. I don't know even like most of them, a majority of them yet, I think. So I'm not quite sure what the instant means in this case, but it doesn't really matter because it will kill me anyway, I'm pretty sure. It might mean that I took the damage already. It could mean that as soon as we play the card, it deals the 10 damage, and then it will take the 0.6 seconds afterwards. I'm not sure. If that's the case, I took the damage already. That will explain why I took so much damage. Well, let's take a look. Yeah, probably. Because that's 8 damage. That would be 18 damage. That would make sense. So I took the damage already. Okay, good that I thought about it, because now that means I can actually survive the exploding bullet, because I can use the medikit now to heal me before the exploding bullet triggers. So that should not deal any damage. Okay, good. Now I heal at 10. I'm now going to take another 6 damage, which is not good. Maybe I should have just tried to kill him. That might have been more efficient. That probably would have been better. Yeah, that would have been the better choice. I could have killed him, and that would have been more... Yeah, that was dumb. That was dumb. I could have just killed him. That would have been more effective. What is this? So, okay, that flips over back at the end of his turn. There are a lot of crazy cards that flip forward and back and on certain triggers and stuff like that, and have certain conditions. The cards are pretty complex, or some of them are pretty complex. Luckily, like, most of the tooltips are pretty good, and all the cards have tooltips, which is good. Sometimes it gets a little confusing, though. I think this card is one of them that's it's not super intuitive, but as soon as you get into the system, you can at least understand this one. Some cards are really strange, but I get this one, I think, if I remember correctly. This is fairly straightforward. So at the start of your turn, you shield. So this is an effect. If you play the card, it will give you this effect. It's a permanent effect, basically. At the start of your turn, you gain 8 shield. And sealed means, as I said earlier, that you deactivate the card when you play it. So when it is sealed, it flips over. So you activate this effect, and you flip the card over, and when your turn ends, you remove the shield again. So it says shield only during your turn. Or it will remove all shield, actually. But that includes the 8 shield you got at the beginning of turn and at the end of the turn. And at the end of the opponent's turn, it will flip over back to the regular version of the card. So yeah, that's how a lot of cards work, like flipping back and forth and stuff like that. A lot of interesting mechanics. So yeah, I'm pretty dead now. Well, I'm gonna be dead on his turn probably, which is unfortunate because I could have killed him. I could try healing again. That might save me. That's probably better than dealing damage. I can still kill him next turn if I survive. So yeah, let's try healing myself. That's probably not gonna save me, unfortunately. We'll see. I survived this shot, but not that one. Okay, there we go. And I'm dead. Not good. Not good. Okay, so yeah, as I mentioned, there are lots of cards and stuff like that, and that's how the game works for the most part. There are right now 5 story chapters. I didn't unlock the 5th one yet, and they unlock more mechanics. You start with only 1 row of cards, and you unlock the other rows over time and stuff like that. You unlock more cards and stuff like that as well. So they get more complex. So it's an ease into the game. And if you feel familiar with the game, or if you completed the story mode, you can go into the standard mode, which has all the features unlocked. And well, it's just a roguelite randomly generated thing, basically, where you fight through boss battles. Similar as the story mode, but without a story. So you first choose your character, and you unlock those during the story mode as well. Right now I have 3, there might be a 4th one, I'm not sure, in the last mission. And when you choose one of them, you choose a deck. So there are, I think, 6 decks per character, at least for this one. I think it's for all of them. And they start with a basic deck, or a basic starter deck, and they're called card presets, I guess, not decks. But I think it's the same, basically. And you unlock them with certain conditions. So this one will be unlocked when you finish the standard mode with DOS. So the standard mode is the not story mode. So if you complete the game once, or the story mode, the standard mode once with this character, you unlock his reminiscence card preset. And the expert one is unlocked when you finish standard mode without killing any elite enemy, stuff like that. Like there's certain triggers, like win a battle with shield remaining, and this will unlock more starter presets. But they only will determine which cards you start with. During the run, you will gain more cards, and can replace those if you want to. As you can see, he has the exploding bullet as well. He has the ambush, which is a cool card, so it deals 4 damage. It will give you a buff on your next card, so your next card will be a little stronger. And when your opponent, if the crossed ability is when the opponent is casting on my turn. So if the enemy played a card that will activate during your turn, then you will actually flip this card over, even if you didn't play it yet. So when your turn starts and there is a card of an enemy card active right now, this card will be flipped over instantly and will be replaced by a better version of the ambush. So if you play it during a turn where the enemy crossed, then you will have the better version of the ambush that deals 6 damage. So that's a pretty cool card as well. It's not a counter per se, so it doesn't cancel the other card. There are cards that do that as well, but it makes it's stronger when your opponent is actually crossing over. So that's an interesting mechanic. And there are lots of cool cards. Let's see if we find another really cool one. That's not. This card only activates when you're crossed. So you can only play this if your opponent. You can only play this in the first place when your opponent did crossing, for example. So that's interesting. You can actually see all the this. I don't know. I never understood this card so far. This looks really weird. I have no idea what this means. So I think this is a kind of a token or something. I can use 1 token to cancel an opponent casting card. Okay, so that's a counter, and I can use 4 tokens to steal 4 time slots of my opponent. I think I can do both of those. I think I can do both if I want to, if I have 5 tokens. and I gain 2 of those tokens, apparently, and I steal some time from my opponent. So, okay, that makes sense now. I think I understand it, but I never played it before, so I'm not sure if that's true, what I just explained. This is... okay, this is silly as well. This is the Hyper Recharger. This makes sense, but it's a good exercise on understanding how those cards work. This is actually pretty straightforward if you think about it. But so the card gives you the buff, the charge buff. The charge buff means that your next card will gain an extra charge. So the next card will not cost you to play a charge, basically. If you have this buff already when you play the Hypercharger, then the Hypercharger will not cost a charge, but it will also take over that buff and will increase it to 2. So basically, chaining the Hypercharger back to back would be pretty effective, but you usually can't do that because of seals. Well, I guess you could play it at the end of your turn and then play it at the start of the next turn to gain the super effect. That sounds pretty effective. So yeah, that's how cards in this game work. As I said, there are lots of cards with really interesting mechanics. Some are a little unintuitive to understand, but most of them are really cool. The developer claims that that they did AI simulations for the cards. So they did some simulations to balance the cards to figure out if some of them are too strong or too weak and figure out the exact numbers. I'm not sure how profound those researches were, but it's a good sign that the developer even thinks about doing stuff like that. So they wrote a simulation to figure out which power level the cards should have. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, the game is in all access, so they claim that they will take around another year to complete the game. But it's pretty fun already, and the mechanics are really unique and really, really great. If I have one complaint about the mechanics, is that if you play with the same deck over and over again, it gets a little bit repetitive, and you usually do that at least for a few battles before you gain new cards, because usually you want to save up for a good deck to gain some legendary cards, and then you replace a few. But as long as you play with the same card, it gets a little bit repetitive because you're using the same strategies over and over again. And I think that effect could be decreased by giving you more information about your opponent's deck. So first, give me the information: what deck is my opponent using? Well, it's the same information, but completely. Like, give me full information about my opponent's deck before the game starts. So before I enter battle, I see the opponent's deck, and when I'm in battle, I see which cards he has active and what he can play, so I can make even more informed decisions about my play. This allows me to prep my deck according to the opponent's deck, so counter his deck with my deck. This gives me more interesting choices about deck building. And secondly, during the play, it gives me more options to actually adjust my play depending on what he does. Sure, I see what he played last turn, and sometimes there's a card effect active during my turn, which will change my plans a little bit. But if there's not, then I will just follow my standard strategy, which is always the same, because there's nothing random in the game, or nothing random in the battle, I should say. So I think having more information about your opponent's deck would be really increase the tactical depth of the game and increase variety during play, because you don't have to fall back to a default strategy because you just don't know better. And you could say, yeah, okay, you can learn those enemies over time and learn what decks they have. That would not solve the second thing. So you would not, or that would take a lot of bookkeeping, manual bookkeeping for you, or while playing, to figure out what cards are still active and what cards they have available. And for the deck building aspect, it wouldn't work either, because the problem is you can't just replay a fight. When you lose a fight, you're dead. You will have to restart and start to run from the beginning. So it's not like you can try to fight them, get defeated, try again with a different deck or different strategy. That just doesn't work, because it's a roguelite, and when you die, you die. So yeah, and that would be, in my opinion, the less interesting way to solve this issue as well. So just give me information about the opponent's deck, and that should increase tactical depth and deck building strategies by a huge margin. So I would really like to see that, and I hope the developers consider this, because this game has the potential to be a really good card game, or deck building game, and I really enjoyed it. I wonder if they figure out how to do a multiplayer mode with this. Should be pretty straightforward. It would not be deck building, and it would not be roguelite, but you could have a simple multiplayer mode, or maybe even a little bit more complex, with a league or a tournament or something like that, or leaderboard. That would be cool, because I think this game would be really cool in competitive play. Oh, there's one more thing I want to show you. Actually, I'm not sure if I. Well, let's just go. I think maybe we get lucky with the first fight in the standard mode. Or is that always the case? No, keep for later. Is it? Yeah, yeah. That's what I want to show you. Take a look at this turn order. That's possible with this system, and this is pretty crazy. This is pretty nuts. This is just mind-bending if you try to start if you start thinking about it, if you're new to the game. This is really confusing, but if you get used to it, you can do lots of crazy stuff with it. And keep in mind, there are cards that affect this. There are cards that allow you to steal your opponent's time slots or just erase them. There are cards that give you extra time slots. There's all sorts of crazy shit that allows you to mess with the turn order as well. So yeah, this is pretty crazy. There's lots of potential for pretty crazy play in this game, and I hope the developers polish this up to a really good game. And I'm probably gonna wait for that, because right now the game is a little lacking in, as I said, it gets a little repetitive, and some things are not as clear as they should be and stuff like that. So I'm definitely gonna put that on my check back when it actually fully releases list, and I hope it will be. It's really good right now, and I hope it will be amazing then. To finish this up, oh yeah, I forgot about this bug. You didn't saw this, but as soon as you enter the settings menu, the game switches into window mode. You don't see this in the recording, but the game switches into window mode, and there is no button to switch it back to full screen. You have to press Alt-Enter to get it back to full screen. And then we have separate sound sliders, the resolution options. Actually, you can choose window mode here, apparently. Okay. Maybe that's why maybe this isn't a bug after all. It's not a bug after all. It's just if you trick the game with Alt-Enter to go into full screen, then it will reset when it enters the options menu with the window mode. That's probably what happened. Okay, cool. Yeah, a few more options would be good, especially key bindings. You saw maybe that during the game there are hotkeys for the cards. You have Q, V, E, R, T to activate the 5 cards, and space to end your turn. It would be nice to be able to rebind those. That would be great. And yeah. There's not much more to say. The game looks really promising. I hope it turns out really amazing when it finally releases. You can check it out in early access yourself right now with the link in the description below. It's called Second. I'm TH Pine. Thanks a lot for watching. Have fun and see you next time. If you liked this video, feel free to subscribe or give me a like. Thank you.